Yeah. Am I
Mhm.
am I audible?
Yes, you're very much audible. Yeah. If you want to add anything about yourself, you can introduce again because I just started recording. Manasvi. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm Manasvi Reddy. I'm 17. I'm just waiting on starting college, and that's when I read this book by Joe Dispenza called Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself. I read this during the time that we had the war going on in Kuwait. I was also stressed about the future, about college. Just like it was kind of a low time, but reading this book actually helped me get a good perspective. And I'm a science student, um, so for me, it was a bit hard to believe that spirituality could be so easily explained by science, but there's a lot of connection between science and spirituality, and that's why it made it so much easier for me to be able to believe in the teachings of this book. This book is very vast, so I don't think I can cover it to the detail that is justified, but I will do my best and I will be talking about my key points and takeaways from reading this book. So, for a lot of this book, the explanation is rooted in quantum physics. Now, that might seem scary, but I encourage everybody to have an open mind in trying to understand because it's going to be challenging a lot of our beliefs. So, we often believe that our mind has no influence on the material reality. So, there is matter and mind. Mind is like what our thoughts, our feelings, our emotions, our energy. So, mind is entirely energy, and matter, when we think of matter, we think of something more physical, something that has mass. But um, I basically wanted to show you that matter and mind are not that different. And if we remember Albert Einstein's equation, it is E is equal to mc square, where E stands for energy and m is mass. That entire equation, Albert Einstein basically proves that energy and mass are interconvertible. So where there is more mass, there is more energy. Where there is more energy, where there is more mass, there is less energy. Where there is more energy, there is less mass. So they can take the forms of each other. And how this comes to be is through these series of diagrams that I have here. So this is the classical atom. It's what we studied in school. Like, this is what an atom looks like, with the nucleus in the center and electrons revolving around it. The quantum atom, as described by quantum physics, is a nucleus in the center and an electron cloud. They call this an electron cloud because we don't know exactly where the electron could be. It could be anywhere in this entire area of the electron cloud. But when we like make it a bit more realistic, when we make this diagram more realistic, this is the realistic model of any atom. And this model basically shows, I mean, you see nothing because it's less matter and more energy. 99% of an atom is just empty space, it is just energy. That 0.01% is maybe the actual mass of the nucleus and the electron. Most of it is just empty space and thus energy. So, when you think about it this way, everything in our real world is made up of atoms, right? From our body to our physical environment to the air around us, everything is made up of millions and millions of atoms. So, if each atom looks like this, that means that everything around us is more energy than matter. Even this laptop that I'm presenting from is more matter than energy. More energy than matter, because this is what the atom itself looks like. So, um, if there are like physics students here, then we would have learned about wave particle duality. Basically, a scientist proved that almost everything has a wave nature and a particle nature. So, particle means the matter and wave means energy. So, even light can behave as both a wave and a particle. Electrons can behave as wave and particle. So, there is something called the observer effect. If we look closely at this diagram, we can see that around a certain nucleus, the electrons could be anywhere. And it's actually impossible to measure the position and the speed of a momentum at the same time. Sorry, of an electron at the same time. You cannot measure both the speed and the position of any electron at any given time. And only like it basically it's not sure, like there is no said space for the electron, it could be anywhere. The observer effect basically says that only if somebody chooses to stay in the present moment, chooses to fixate at one particular spot, only then they can observe that particular electron. If they choose to like look at a particular part, then only they can see the electron, and it would only appear for a second, then it will disappear again. So that's what here they're talking about. Electron disappears into nothing, then reappears as a particle. So when it disappears into nothing, it's changing into its wave like form. When it appears as a particle, it's coming back to its particle form. But to even observe this effect, you need to be fully present and fixated on one particular point. And when we think about it this way, it means that there are so many potential realities in our present moment. If an electron can appear and reappear, if it can change forms, that means even the reality that we are in right now can change its course. We can have a completely different life if we choose to observe it, if we choose to want it. Because what is, at the end of the day, life is made up of things or situations which are made up of atoms which have electrons in them. And we just saw how most of the atoms are made up of mainly just energy. That is why we call these electromagnetic potentials in the quantum field. So the potential of you being very rich, the potential of you being very healthy, of you being very happy, of you finding your soulmate, all exist. They all are there. They're all in there in the form of energy and potentials in the world. If you choose to stay in the present and give attention to that possibility, then you can observe it in your life. So, you right now, only in the present moment, do you have access to all the potential realities in the quantum field, in the entire field of the universe. If you are stuck in the past, if you're rehearsing past memories, past emotions, you cannot access all the potentials. If you are there in the if you're thinking too much about the future, then you have already decided what you want to worry about. Again, you cannot access all the potential realities. Only in the present moment, if you choose to pay attention, then you can access the potential reality that is there for you. So, in the same, this second right now, there is a reality in which I'm very successful. There's also a reality in which I'm very poor. So, there are multiple realities at this present moment, and I can choose to access them because of something called the, sorry, it just moved, because of the observer effect that I just showed you with the electrons. So this is basically like what I wanted to prove through this is that all potential realities are possible only in the present, and this is the importance of staying present. And you have a bigger connection to the universe than you think. We have more energy than we think. Most of our body is also made up of atoms, and again, atoms are mainly energy. We are made up of the same thing that the rest of the universe is made up of. So we can very much interact with the universe, interact with the potential realities that we want in our life. So we are more energy than we believe. But sometimes what happens is that actually, most of the time, this is how we live. We live in the big three: our body, our environment, and our time. So, throughout the book, this author refers to these as the big three. This is basically what we pay the most attention to in our day to day life. We pay attention to our physical body, our physical environment. So, the people in our environment, the places that we go to, and the time that we have. So, the time that I have to submit this assignment, or the time till I go to college, or whatever. So, these are the three main things that we pay most of our time and attention to. And if you can notice, all these three things are more matter than energy. So basically, if you overcome these three main things, you will be able to tap into your energy more, and you'll be able to influence your surroundings more. So I one thing I wanted to share is about the cycle of thinking and feeling. So I think there has been a time, like maybe when we are like I'm not driving yet, but this is just an example. When we drive and let's say somebody next to you isn't driving properly. So you get angry at their driving for, even though it's a 2-second interaction, you become agitated, you become angry. Then the rest of the drive until you reach your work or your home, you keep replaying that same incident. Oh, this person drove so horribly. I could, something could have happened. And you keep replaying that memory. When you replay that memory, you feel that emotion of anger again. Then that emotion of anger will again like instigate you to replay that memory. So it's a constant cycle of thinking and feeling. When we feel something, we get reminded of a particular memory, we think of the memory. When we think of that memory, we are reminded of that feeling and that experience, and we keep it keeps going in a cycle. It's perpetuous, right? And it happens in our subconscious. We don't even realize that it's happening. We're not consciously making that choice, but that's how our body is unfortunately designed. And so, one thing that we need to do is overcome this sort of cycle of thinking and feeling, where the thoughts of the brain, because when we mix the thoughts of the brain and the feelings of the body, we create a state of being. And what I mean by this is when you keep being in this cycle, if you're stuck in this cycle forever, then that emotion can very easily turn into a state of being. Instead of being called, instead of saying that she became angry one day, you will be called an angry person. So your personality itself changes in that certain way. And this is basically what he shows here through this diagram. A mood may last for a couple hours or a couple days based on a certain experience. But if you choose to keep that memory alive and keep continuing that cycle of thinking and feeling, it can turn into a temperament for a couple weeks and months. So she's going through a phase of depression, or she's like whatever it is. And then when that persists for even longer, eventually it will become a personality trait. Oh yeah, he's a person who gets angry easily, or she's a person who gets sad easily. That becomes a part of your personality. And all of this happened without your consciousness even. You just kept replaying the same memory again and again, and this is what ended up happening. Because certain thoughts, if we give them power, turn into memory, which can instigate a certain emotion. And eventually, the emotion itself becomes memorized. And that memorized emotion becomes a personality trait. So, can you see how our experiences, like our environment and our body, shaped our personality itself when they shouldn't even have that much power? Our environment, our body, and the time should not be able to shape our personality itself. But unfortunately, that's what happens usually. So, um, yeah, I think I covered everything when it comes to this topic. So what I'm trying to say here is that your internal baseline, so who you are as a person, should be unchanging regardless of the external events that happen around you. So, regardless of the people you interact with in your life, whether they are there, whether they are not there, whether they treat you well or whether they don't, how your environment is molded, like nothing should affect your internal baseline. The external state of the world should not affect the way you feel internally. So that baseline should be unchanging. And through this book, he basically tells you and like tells the reader how to stop becoming so influenced by the our body, our time, and our environment. How to live at a state of consciousness within ourselves. This was one of my favorite chapters. It was called Survival versus Creation. And this was very interesting to me. So I will give a certain example here. So in olden days, there were hunter gatherers. So whenever when if there was a certain threat, let's say a tiger that came about, they would uh, their stress levels would increase, adrenaline would increase, in adrenaline would be secreted in their body. Adrenaline is a hormone which basically helps us be more attentive to our surroundings, run faster, and be able to protect ourselves. So it was something that is necessary. Even in deer, when a deer is trying to escape from its predator, like a lion or a tiger, its pupils will dilate, it will gain more energy, and it will start running away. As soon as the threat disappears, as soon as the lion is no longer in sight, the deer will stop producing that adrenaline hormone, and it will it will immediately go down. Okay, so but the issue with nowadays is that we produce the adrenaline hormone and we produce the stress hormone even when there is no imminent threat. So even when we don't see a tiger or a lion, or in some cases our professor or our boss, we secrete those hormones just by our thoughts. So even when we are at the comfort of our home, we think about the stresses of school or office or our future, and we secrete that hormone. The thing is, our body was designed, or any animal's body was designed, for the adrenaline or stress hormone to help us in threatening situations. But we have abused it to a point where that has become our new normal. That stress and adrenaline hormone being high is just constant in our body. And when that happens, eventually people get sick. And that's it. There are so many cases of people getting sick just from prolonged periods of sadness or prolonged periods of stress, because it actually takes a toll on our physical body. But so why is it that we cannot let go of something? Why is it that when something negative happens, we can't seem to let it go? In our future, I mean, in our past, we just keep thinking about the same thoughts again and again, living in that sort of misery. And basically, Joe Dispenza explains that the reason we do that is because we as humans are obsessed with having a need for an identity. We want to be something, we want to be someone. And what happens is, when you keep thinking about the same thoughts again and again, you start becoming obsessed to your circumstances, the people in your life that made you feel bad. They like you start getting addicted to the sadness or to the stress, even without realizing this. And it sounds crazy, because why would anybody be addicted to their own stress? But it's actually true. We have a need to connect to our body, to the big three basically. We have a need to be connected to our body, to our environment, to time. We want to be somebody, something at some time. We and because of this need of wanting to create this identity, we become addicted to our own troubles, our own stresses, our own misery, because it reinforces who we are as a person. We feel like, okay, we are still going through this, so we are something. And that's why it is so hard for some people to stop complaining. It is so hard for some people to let go of the past, because letting go of the past and letting go of their troubles would mean letting go of that sense of identity. And that is scary. And that is what he calls as living in survival. We live in survival mode when we are constantly plagued by our own misery, our own stresses. But only if we choose to stop being somebody, see right here, somebody, something at some time, then we can be nobody with nothing at no time. And only when we reach this no, no, no for each of the three big, for the big three, then we can transition into everybody, everything at every time. What does that mean? That means we can, sorry, anybody, anything at any time, which means we have the possibility to become anybody we want at any time that we want, surrounded by anything that we want. See, again, it connects back to designing the future of our dreams, or being in the potential reality that we want. But we can only step into the potential reality if we stop being addicted to our own misery, if we choose to become nobody, nothing at no time. And this is about changing from living in survival to living in creation, where we can create our own personal reality. Personality can kind of be broken down into personal reality. So, a way that we can do this is being more energy than matter. This is supposed to be than, sorry for the typo. So, being more energy than matter. So, when we want to be somebody, something at some time, we are addicted to the place, the people, the the emotions. So, again, that is more matter. When we transition and let go of this past identity, then we become more energy. And this is again connects back to the point that I said about being connected to our internal baseline, not letting external things affect us or define us. We cannot be defined by our external circumstances. The definition of self and the self image should be there within us. And basically, what we see here is, remember, I told you guys about E is equal to mc square. So when there is more energy, it's less matter. When there is more matter, less energy. So when you are at high frequency emotions, high frequency is equal to high energy, and they're all in the forms of waves. This again, like, is just some physics terminology. Usually, all energy is in the form of waves. Okay, so is everything in the universe is in the form of waves. So when we are in a higher elevated emotions like love and happiness and gratitude, those emotions are more energy, less matter. See, so this means we have overcome the big three. We have more energy and we can create more potential realities when we are in elevated emotions. When you come down to survival emotions such as competition, guilt, shame, anger, hate, judgment, we can see the frequency reduces, the energy also reduces. So less energy means more matter. The second we start to become more materialistic, more obsessed with our surroundings and our physical circumstances, the less energy that we have. So, if we constantly try our best to keep our elevated emotions and live in gratitude, love, abundance, then we can harness our full potential and actually live in creation. These are just some prompts that are the power of imagination in creating a new mind. So this is just how you can, the different ways that you can like create and imagine a new life for yourself. The rest of the book goes on. Okay, I like this quote. If you can master suffering, you can just as easily master joy. So basically, the choice is ours. If we are able to sit with our complaints and our negative emotions and define our whole personality based on that, we can very well do the same for joy. Throughout the rest of the book, Joe Dispenza basically talks about the techniques through which we can break away from being the person we were and become the person we want to be. So, breaking the habit of being yourself, you create a new way of thinking. You stop thinking the way that you used to. Because as long as you do that, you're going to be stuck in that same cycle. And he speaks about how meditation is the bridge. So you can think of a new life, then you can start to do some actions for that new life, but eventually you will become the person who embodies that new life. And he calls this the three brains of thinking to doing to being. But through meditation, we can skip this doing part entirely and basically go straight from thinking to being. So he talks about how in meditative states, we can access our subconscious mind. If you go to a deep meditative state, you can access your subconscious mind. Your subconscious mind is where all of your habits are there, your primal behaviors, your uh, associations that you've made since you've grown up. So the very fabric of your being is there in your subconscious mind. And in through meditation, you can access that subconscious mind and consciously become aware of your subconscious, make changes, and thus become the person that you want to be.
Manasvi, just
Mm.
sorry to disturb you. You want to take it in parts because I feel it is a very interesting book and you are taking it very nicely, in depth with all the clarity. So, would you like to take it in parts? I think even audiences, uh, what is audience's opinion? You want to continue or in parts? Yes, Kalyani, you can unmute yourself. You want to continue because it's 1 hour already. So you all want to sit and listen or we in parts. Yeah. So yeah, so we received comments from audience that we can do it in parts because they can. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
it's
now it is
very,
open. Yeah, it is open to question answer. Before
yeah.
that, I would congratulate Manasvi. It was a wonderful, wonderful part 1 presentation. Oh my God, such a young, sweet girl would go in depth and clarify each and everything so beautifully, so well. I'm so very proud of you. Thank you so much. And yes, now it is open for uh, discussion, question, answer. Yes. Abhinav,
Hi,
Dr.
good
Haripriya.
evening.
Yes, Dr. Haripriya,
Good
thank you
evening,
for joining.
Manasvi.
Manasvi, you can
Yeah,
switch off the
thanks for
video.
inviting. Thanks for inviting, Rashmi.
Thank you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, yes, I can hear you. Go ahead, go ahead.
Okay, okay. Thanks for inviting. Such a wonderful topic, and very proud of Manasvi. She is just going on in the flow so
Mm.
flawlessly. That means that she has imbibed all the information into her. So very nice presentation. Um, Question is, I have been doing meditation for like 1.5 months. So the last point that you were saying, Manasvi, are you hearing?
Yeah, I can hear you,
Oh,
Auntie.
oh, yeah, yeah. So you were saying that during meditation we get access to the subconscious mind and all the programs or whatever information is stored there. So in this 1.5 year, what I felt is I was totally losing all my identities. After 1.5 year, I felt like a newborn. It is like whatever happened during 4 decades of my life, where I was feeling like past life. And can you think of any reason for this?
As in, so you felt disconnected from the your past experiences?
Yes, yes, yes. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's what is expected to happen, Auntie. Even in the book, when Joe
Mm,
Dispenza talks about it, he says that
okay.
when we are in contact with our subconscious mind, we start to
Mm,
become more energy than matter. The more meditation that we do, the more energy
mm,
that we have. So, where the reason I think you feel disconnected from your past is because when we think about the negative experiences in our past, we are thinking about very materialistic things, like some
mm,
people that we liked or did not like, some physical scenarios that we had, something that we lost or gained. It's all very rooted in materialistic things. So I think
mm,
from the past, you have the experiences that you learned that will stay with you. But now, because you are doing more meditation and you're accessing that subconscious mind, you have
mm,
more energy and less
mm.
matter. You are connected less to the materialistic things of your past and that materialistic identity.
Okay. So I'm not sure whether everyone is feeling the same way. This was my unique experience. I did not discuss this with anyone.
I
So I.
I actually think that's a good experience, Auntie, because in the book he talks about how we reach the stage that you reached where you don't feel controlled by your past anymore. And only
Mm,
when you're in that stage, we can start to uh, become the person we want to be and create the future we want to be. So to do that, we have to first reach the stage where we are no longer connected to our past.
okay. So now I understand whatever is happening is the right thing.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yes,
yeah.
yes, yes, absolutely, Haripriya. I think many of
Okay.
us would resonate with what you are saying. Yeah, those who are regular practitioner more than years, and Manasvi put it in a very scientific way that we are more of energy becoming and matter reducing. And yeah, this happened to me. Yeah, many friends and circles and people whom you attract in the past who were there, but suddenly when you are in meditation, they all move away. We think, why suddenly these all happening? But as our energy is increasing, their energy, they are more into materialistic. So they no more match with us. So they automatically leave. And we attract new people who are more into energy or who are seeking in the towards energy rather than matter, and you learn each other, like from higher concentration to lower concentration this energy flows. So it's like that. So you are in a higher energy, suppose, and who have just started meditation, they are in lower energy, so you start sinking, and you there is a flow of energy between those two people. So like we go to Pradeep sir's session, so we feel more energetic. Pradeep sir has a higher energy, we are just baby, you know like that. This is also happening. That's what my feeling also.
Actually,
And
like
Yeah, yeah.
there in the book
But
also.
okay.
oh, wow. That's
Yeah,
great.
exact thing that you were talking about is there. Basically,
Yeah.
Oh,
people bond over the same emotional bonds and experiences. So if two people are in the same state of complaining and suffering and blaming, they both will fit perfectly. But if
Hmm.
you are in a different stage of your spiritual journey, then you will no longer be compatible with the same people, and that's okay.
mm.
You will have to create
In
new
fact,
emotions.
yeah. In fact, I lost all my relatives. I lost all my friends.
Yeah,
They all are gone. But the problem is, I'm happy that they have left me, and I have got new friends with a lot of energy, positive energy, and all that. But
yeah.
family, I mean, my mom and my daughter and my father, they are also not in touch with any of the relatives who we used to be very close with. So
Mm.
is that what to how to put it? Is that a side effect of my meditation that they are suffering? Like my family members, they are not meditators, but they
Oh,
lost the relatives too. Yeah. So they feel my mom especially, she feels like an orphan, like she her sisters are not talking with her anymore and all that. So, uh, so positive things are also happening, but some side effects or adverse effects are also parallelly happening. So,
I don't know if
yeah,
that's
we are
a
losing
constant
everyone. Yeah,
observation.
we are losing everyone. No, that of course they are more matter, less energy. That I understand, but they are with us for so many decades. Suddenly, when we lose them, the confidence of the life itself is shaken. Of
Mm.
course, because I'm meditating, I can handle it, but not my family members. Sometimes
Mm.
I'm also feeling guilty. Oh, my daughter is now not having touch with the relatives like cousins, her aunt, her uncle, all of them. So is that I feel guilty sometimes. So I don't know how to justify this. So that was the only thing concerning.
Yeah,
Mm.
that's
Otherwise,
okay. That's okay. Can I,
yeah,
Manasvi? Or you
Yeah,
want?
aunty.
Yeah, 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 yeah. It is okay, fine. It happens. See, again, if
mm,
we go with the relatives and all, we are identifying, right? There is an
yeah,
attachment. On a deeper level of spiritualism, we know we should not get attached. Okay, if they are coming, okay, coming. If they are not coming, also, we are fine. Like Manasvi said, inside state of being, we have to keep it baseline irrespective of your environment, irrespective of your surroundings, irrespective of your
mm,
time. Okay, in time they were your relatives, very close, talking terms, but now at present, in relation to time, they are no more talking, right? So still,
yeah.
your baseline should be state of being should be happy, joyful, whether they are there or not there. You know, it's
I'm very
don't
happy.
yeah, don't consider that as a negative impact. Yeah,
Yeah,
see, like the seeds sprouting and coming and becoming a tree or plant, it goes through all the struggles. Similarly, your mom, your daughter, maybe it's a transition
yeah.
phase for
It's
them
a
since they are
transition
not
phase.
meditated. but
Correct.
eventually it will be okay. Yeah.
Probably my mom will start looking for neighbors, friends.
Alternative. Yes, yes, yes,
Otherwise, she'll be only stuck with her sisters.
yes, yes,
Probably this is also a good transformation for them.
yes,
Yeah, okay.
exactly.
Got it,
Yeah.
Rashmi. Thank
Yeah.
you, Manis.
Thank you, Auntie.
Yes, Abhinav, you want to say anything?
Yes, Auntie. Like I would congratulate Manasvi. Like she well explained the book. And like with even science, she mixed both. And
Mm,
as Haripriya Auntie also said, like I also had the same situation. Like when I was 16 years old, um, I lost two, three of my friends. Like they slowly went no touch with me like that. So I was also wondering why are they like leaving like this. But then when I was 17, like 12 in 12th grade, like I got new set of friends with more energy, and they also like these spirituality and all. So I felt happy when they also said like this. So that's all I have to say. Thank you.
no, that's a very good example. Oh, lovely. Yeah, lovely. Yeah, this word, we have a live example here. Yeah, all of us have gone through. Once you start meditation, there is a shift happening. And as Manasvi have explained in that book, Joe Dispenza, we are tapping into the subconscious. So we are, moving away from our past and those labels and identities, and we are creating new reality. So, yeah,
Actually, I
absolutely.
feel like that happened to me this year itself. Like
Mm,
earlier this year, I felt like I was losing touch with a lot of my friends.
mm,
Like I feel like we weren't on the same wavelength anymore, that we weren't
mm.
connecting like we used to, and it upset me a lot. But the more I read the book, I realized that I was becoming too attached
Mm,
to their presence in my life or their expectations of me, their opinions of me, and becoming attached to that identity, that matter more than my energy. But after felt like I got a bit more energy than matter, and I started looking at everything from a lens of love and gratitude, I was able to look at the friends also who I lost or who I don't feel as connected to, still with love, still with gratitude for all the memories that we had. I still love them for whatever imperfections they have, and I'm no longer attached to the possibility of whether they are there in my life or not. If they are there, then that's great. If they're not there, then it's also great.
no,
So
absolutely,
I
absolutely.
experienced that this year itself. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, continue doing whatever you're doing, Manasvi. That will really be a blessings for your future endeavors as well. And we never know, you will discover something new with the spiritualism as a background. I was just sharing to Haripriya only yesterday. There was one Pakistani girl who was born and brought up in a very conservative, Orthodox family, Muslim family, how they are. And from there, she went to NASA, and she is into a very secretive, lot of activities and programs which are going on, related to aliens and other modalities, which are very high level and very secretive mission. And she is one of them out of so many men. She is the only lady. So imagine her journey from a village who doesn't know how to speak English. From there she went to NASA. So that's what she always wanted, something. She wanted to speak English and be like Englishmen. And that was from the childhood she had that. And she could get that reality. But through definitely challenges were there, her marriage, troubled marriage, too troubled marriage. And finally, she ended up in NASA. Now she has a name. She wrote a book on quantum being, you know. So that's what, yeah. So this can help from village science chemistry student, and then in the NASA discovering about, she's combining spiritualism and uh, our science. So she is born Muslim, friends all Christians. She follows Kabbalism and finding a new reality. Awesome. So yeah, we can really tap into subconscious, and we can become, as you said, interaction of energy is there from the surrounding and within us, because atom is nothing but empty space, as you said, no space. So we can go to any space anytime, but we need to be in now. So I think Power of Now, Eckhart Tolle's book, also back to back, if you read, it will resonate more and it will give a very strong foundation of what you have understood. But well done. I would really love. And Abhinav, next, you have been associated with me more than 2 years, I think. You can also, if you want any book, come to me. Like Manasvi asked for this book, and she was the. I could read only hardly 2 page, 3 page, but she is the one who finished it, and lovely, lovely. I would really congratulate and love you, Manasvi. I feel, overwhelmed. I feel very emotional. Tears in my eyes also. Very, very happy. Like at this young age, going so depth and with science and spiritualism, really lovely. Happy for you. Yeah.
Thank
So we will look for part 2. I think many of us participants are requesting for part 2. So we will do it part 2 very soon. Yeah. So thank you, Abhinav, and thank you, Haripriya, for joining and having such an interactive and lovely session. So
Thank you,
Thank
Rashmi.
good night.
Thank you
Take
so
care.
much.
Yeah.
Good night,
Good
and
night.
thank you.
Thank you, Abhinav.
you.